Sustainability Karma, a podcast series on sustainable development, sustainability, and ESG, or environmental, social, and governance. In this podcast series, with senior journalist and editor Rajiv Tikoo, a who's who of thought leaders from the government, private sector, and civil society share their mantra for accelerating development in India and making the world a better place.
Welcome to this episode of Sustainability Karma. I am your host, Rajiv Tikoo. Today, we focus on the environmental, social, and governance or ESG landscape in the country. ESG refers to standards, frameworks, and protocols used by companies to adopt and report on good practices as mandated by regulators and desired by investors. In today's episode of Sustainability Karma, we talked to Praveen Kumar, Director General and CEO of Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs or IICA. He is an IAS officer from the 1987 batch. Working under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, IICA is an autonomous think tank undertaking research, education, and advocacy on issues related to corporate affairs, including corporate governance. Well known for its work in the space of corporate social responsibility or CSR, IICA is today engaged in strengthening this ESG landscape in the country. We're pleased to welcome Praveen Kumar to this episode of Sustainability Karma. Welcome, Praveen Kumar. Let me begin by asking you, how is IICA enabling creation of an enabling ecosystem for ESG in the country?
Thank you. As you know, IICA is perhaps one unique institution relating to corporate affairs, institution under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and it has a dedicated school, which is for responsible business, called the School of Business Environment. So we look at three areas in the school regarding responsible business in general and ESG, CSR in particular. One is capacity building, and we also a think tank for the government and the regulators on these subjects, and we also do advocacy. Right from the beginning, when this national voluntary guidelines came in 2011 for responsible business, there's national guidelines for responsible business conduct, NGRBC. All these things were designed here in IAC, right, which were later adopted and made applicable by government or the regulators. Even this BRSR, which is the SEBI has said that all the top 5,000 companies have to do the reporting on responsible and sustainability business, how to conduct it. That also is based on our NGRBC, which we have designed. So IAC has been working on this area as a think tank for various regulators, etc. And now we are also working on sectoral toolkits, like taking one sector and designing BRSR guidelines for them. Like for textiles, we have taken up. So these things we are taking up. Futuristically, what we have planned to do is to prepare a decision matrix for boards to decide, evaluate decisions from the ESG angle. Whatever decisions comes, there's a matrix which will help the boards to decide from the ESG angle. And also we are now planning to develop an index, ESG index for rating companies. Like a company can then market itself. I have a 5-star ESG, I have a 4-star ESG. And that itself can become a marketing point for them. We're also lobbying with various authorities for having a separate non-financial reporting authority and a separate set of non-financial auditors, because we think that traditional auditors are not equipped to do this job. Second area we do is this capacity building. We have created we are aiming at creating a cadre of ESG professionals for companies to access. Similarly, we have started a human rights business and human rights course. We have already been running a CSR course earlier, which is very good. Apart from this general professional course, we do capacity building of various corporates, the board level, C-suite executives, the government functionaries, mid-career IAS officers, PSUs, private. So this is a broad area. I think we have been the pioneers, and it's covering everything under ESG as far as the corporates are concerned. IAC is in it.
The sustainability and ESG landscape has been changing very fast globally. What do you think of the response of Indian regulators as well as companies?
If you see, I think we have consciously followed a gradual approach, starting from voluntary, then a mandatory reporting, then perhaps assurance on what you are reporting. That kind of a progress has been followed. Like I said, national voluntary guidelines came in 2011. Then SEBI came up with this BRR for 500 companies. Then BRSR, business responsibility and sustainability reporting for 1,000 companies started from this year. Again, this is only reporting. SEBI is only assuring that these are the reporting which has been done by the companies. There is no perhaps verification and no commitment to deliver on those parameters. You report, even if you can report 0 out of 5, 0 out of 5, that is a reporting. So that may be the next stage where companies may be made accountable for the points which are done. So from just reporting to assurance on what you have done, and also next stage maybe value chains may be included. And also SEBI has come with a BRSR light framework for unlisted companies, which can help. They are not in the SEBI, but they can use that for evaluating their ESG. Indian companies also are slowly coming aboard, perhaps not because of one thing is the regulatory pressure through the reporting, and they realize that sooner than later this is going to come. This ESG, they have to be, so they better be prepared instead of just suddenly one night you wake up and say tomorrow you have to do ESG. Other thing, because of those, especially those companies who are in the external market, because of standards in other countries, especially Europe, they are motivated more towards ESG, and they have found this profit in it. It's not that it is some onerous thing. And also, I always say a good ESG company, ESG enabled company will get lower risks, get lower chances of failure, because they are engaged with the society. They are engaged, so society knows what they are doing, and society also values a good, responsible. So that kind of image will be created, which will help in the market. They will give they will get a competing edge in the market because of their ESG parameters. Now also people are ready to pay more for a vegan food or for organic food. Similarly, a lot of people will be there, willing to pay more for an ESG positive company or ESG company. So I think it's a process. We can't say they have arrived or not arrived, but they are on the way. Those who are compulsory, they are already there, but others are also working on various components at least of ESG.
What would you advise Indian companies to do to leverage ESG for competitive edge globally?
As I've already said that ESG investing has been becoming a popular thing internationally, because if you are a good ESG company, investors, customers, other stakeholders, all want greater accountability, transparency, and responsible business. So I think the companies need to leverage this ESG, the positivity ESG which is there internationally, especially in the financing ESG finance is there, which goes to good companies who do a better ESG work. And so I'll want that companies to go beyond the compliance restriction and make ESG into the core business operations, culture, values. ESG is different from CSR. CSR, you just spend 2% funds. ESG is something you internalize. Each decision making, if it is ESG compliant, your company becomes ESG compliant. So they need to identify which is and ESG is a vast area. So what they can do, they can identify the core area which is relevant for the business. For example, mining companies can identify what's the environmental impact of the mining and what is the social impact of the mining operation, and they can work on that. That will help them in getting a better image, which mining companies don't have many times, because of which they face resistance and all that. They have to engage with stakeholders, innovate because ESG will demand more innovation to deal with the same. We can't continue with the same practices. And perhaps we try to benchmark with the best ESG parameters there in the world instead of just following this. That will, I think, following ESG will increase the operation efficiency, reduce the risk, attract capital, increase customer loyalty, etc. So all these things will help in improving the profitability of the company itself. So that thing has to sink in among the decision makers in a company.
How can Indian SMEs particularly fast-track adoption of ESG given the fact that they have tech challenges as well as resource challenges?
Yeah, SMEs, I think there are two basic problems which SMEs, as you have said. One is that that kind of financial resources they might not be having because ESG upfront there is an additional expenditure involved. It may give a return. It gives a return over a period of 5-6 years as a different issue, but upfront they have that kind of resources and that kind of manpower they don't have. They are small companies. But on the conversely, because there are so many SMEs, being a ESG compliant company will give you a competitive edge. I mean, you will be known as a ESG compliant SME company. So many in the supply chain, when you are saying that supply chain also has to become ESG compliant, many of the main producers will access you for their products. So that advantage will be there. Investors may be ready to invest. All those things will be, advantages will be there, but initial challenges will be there. What IICA has done that has developed some stepwise things which we think IICA can do and which MSMEs can adopt. One is that awareness generation. We are trying workshops with MSME association and clusters that how ESG is necessary and even fruitful to you. And what they need to do, they need not go for the entire spectrum of ESG. They can identify the key area which is relevant to their business, to the industry, to the stakeholders, and focus on that. Because the stakeholders, if they want one aspect of ESG, we focus on that. That will help in increasing your value to the stakeholders. And then develop a strategy and work on that. It's a slow process. There won't be a permanent, always switch on, switch off to become ESG. Don't do ESG. Step by step, a slow step, and you can reach the moon.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode of Sustainability Karma. You just heard an informative conversation with Praveen Kumar, Director General and CEO, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, or IICA, on the evolving ESG landscape in India.
We hope you like this program. This program is also live streamed on All India Radio and aired on community radio stations. We look forward to your feedback on our WhatsApp number 9818120554. For participation in this program, write to us at sustainability.karma@gmail.com. You may also connect with us on social media. This podcast is also available on podcast hosting sites. Looking forward to meet you again at the same time next week with a new episode and a new guest. Till then, goodbye from all of us. Sustainability Karma, a podcast series with senior journalist and editor Rajiv Tikoo on sustainable development, sustainability and ESG.